start it.
Okay. There we go. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 14th board meeting. The agenda can be found in the description. There's a link to it. Their meetings are counted for attendance. I need to mute my YouTube screen. There we go. So to be counted in attendance, please fill out the form and then put a greeting in the chat just so that we can see that you're here. And again, we've got the open session at the end, so try to save any questions until the end, and then we will go over what's happening in the chat at the end. So let's go ahead and recap off-cycle board actions. Okay, not necessarily a board action, but is related. We do have a financial operations assistant on the Anime Detour side to help out Jeanette, and that is going to be Dave Vetrovic. And then just a couple weekends ago, Jeanette, Dave, and JC all went into the bank and got copies of the credit cards so they can actually help process payments for everything. Then we have planned discussions from scheduled visiting parties or partners. We don't have any. I'm going to make the next three really quick. Charities, communications, and special events. Those are still open coordinator positions. We are looking for people to help us fill those roles. We really don't have anything upcoming for them for the next month or so. There's no updates or anything to go over. And then with that, I'll swing it over to JC for Anime Detour.
All right, I know we've got a little more substance to go over in this board meeting, so I'll keep it quick. Obviously, we're getting closer to con time, so there's all kinds of things happening, but I won't try to name every single thing. We do have a staff meeting this Sunday, so if you do want to know more of the details about Anime Detour, try to come to that, either in person. I believe it's Brookdale Library. It's on the staff Discord. I'll send out an email at 1 o'clock, and then also department heads can send me updates if they're watching this, but I'll send an email. Besides that, maybe the most important thing is that if you have been acting as staff or think you might, and you have not yet done your Eventney application, we are very much trying to get those in by the end of the month. In fact, we have stated that if you want to be guaranteed to get your staff badge and staff hotel benefit, assuming you're entitled to them based on the hours you work, you have to apply before the end of the month to be guaranteed those. So please, if you haven't done the Eventney yet, or if you know people who, you would like to go on to staff and they haven't done the Eventney yet, please get them on there by January 31st. Thank you.
Okay, and then after that, we have the financial update. Go ahead, Jeanette.
Hi, so in our business checking, our balance currently is $414,253.70. The education savings fund and the community fund have remained unchanged since the last time, but the education fund is at $3,098.27, and the community fund savings account is at $14,506.78. That is all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so then next up on the agenda is a 15-minute break, but we can vote to skip this. Can I vote to skip this? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Beautiful. Okay, skipping the break. One other small update that we need to have in the minutes for the bank accounts. We will be getting Jeanette added as a key executive, and we will be having Sky and Kim removed as key executives from the bank account. That's Guy Dunn and Kim Hoffer need to be removed, and Jeanette Wallen needs to be added for minutes purposes. So then next up, we do have the bylaws that we would like to present to everyone. Now for this, if you do have a question, feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat. So we can address them as we go. Otherwise we might get confused later. All right. Sharing that, let's make it bigger. No, thank you. Okay, we'll do it this way. Beautiful. Okay, so we did work with Stephen Opheim, who is a lawyer that specializes in bylaws, and we went back and forth and did a couple revisions with him, and we are now happy with this, so that is why we were presenting it to the membership. Should I read these word for word, do you think, or just go over changes?
We'll just go
I didn't
over
think about that.
the high level changes, and then
Sure.
once we do open it up for voting of approval, have a PDF link so they can review it on their own time.
Well, I'm gonna email it out tonight.
Okay.
We have to email it out. I'll go over that. There's a whole timeline that we have to do to get bylaws.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
So
So
yeah, no, we're good. So basically, you know, these are the bylaws for Anime Twin Cities. Our purpose, this is, I think, exactly the same as the current bylaws. It has not changed. Voting members are people that go to meetings. That part, we didn't change those parts either. The one thing we did change is that you no longer have to live within 400 miles to be a voting member. We removed that clause. If you want to live in Maine and be a member, you can. Let's see. And then basically one thing we did change is forever the bylaws have stated the amount of the dues is $15. We're taking that out. That way it can just be a policy going forward if we need to change the amount of the dues. I don't intend to. I don't think we have any need to at this time, but it would make it slightly easier for us to do it if we do need to in the future. Another big thing that we changed is well, that's sort of an officer's part. So this part isn't really different, but the board needs to be a minimum of 3 people, a maximum of 9 people. The terms are still going to be 2 years, and you cannot serve more than 2 terms in a row. Trying to think what other points I need to bring out in directors. It's just all a lot of, if someone wants to resign, if someone needs to be removed, like what we need to do. Board of directors can appoint coordinators with such service to be reviewed annually.
do you want to touch on section 3.7 since that wasn't made explicit previously?
Sure. I think it might have been, but I don't remember. So a director may be removed from office with or without cause by the affirmative vote of the majority of the directors present at a duly held meeting, provided that not less than 5 days and not more than 30 days of such meetings, stating the removal of such directors to be on the agenda. So basically, if a member of the board of directors needs to be removed, we have to give them at least 5 days notice, everyone on the board 5 days notice that that's something that is being considered for us to have a meeting, and that way they can, build a defense for themselves and that sort of thing. We have to have meetings. We can have special meetings. There's basically just the notes for how you can have them. Before we had a whole bunch of details about when our annual meeting would be, that our lawyer was like, you don't need that in there, just say that you'll have one, and then you can decide when the meeting is going to be without it being part of the bylaws. I assume we're still going to do it like the board meeting after detour, which works great for me. Or maybe it was 2. I don't know. We have a calendar. It's on there. And if all of the directors do agree to have a meeting right away and they can all attend, then you don't need to have like notice in advance of the special meeting. As long as everyone can come, then you can have a meeting. Directors will not be compensated except for reimbursements for things that we have to spend money on for the board. Okay, so then this is sort of where our bigger changes are. So we're going to have sort of the same officers. We're going to have a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. And all of these officers are going to have voting rights. So yay, everyone gets voting rights. And the main thing that's going to happen is every director will have a 2-year term, but the officers will be chosen annually. So this next annual meeting, basically, we're going to vote in the new people. And then once those people are decided, then the board is going to choose who is going to be president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer for those years, which I'm very excited about. It will make voting a lot easier. It'll make running a lot easier. You're just running to be on the board, and then the people that are on the board choose the officers. So I'm very excited for that. A lot of other board of directors run this way. So and then you can, if something happens, resign from your officer position, but stay on the board. You could resign from the officer position, you could pick someone else to do that, and then you could still be the member at large or a regular board of director that without an officer role. All of this finance stuff is pretty boilerplate. And then for bylaws updates, it's again still like we have to send them to people. They have to have time to review them. They get time to vote on them before they pass, which is kind of how they are now. So did anyone have any questions about these bylaws? Doesn't look like anything came up in the chat while I was talking about them.
There is nothing in the chat as far as I can tell, and I need to stop. I need to pay attention to when I'm talking on mute.
Okay, I wrote down a timeline earlier, but I didn't leave the window open, so I'm gonna find it real quick. So basically, for our current bylaws, basically what we do is going to send out an email to our voting membership tonight with these proposed changes. Then I'm going to send it again in 1 week. So again, just giving people a chance to see it and read it. Then the week after that, we can vote it. So basically 2 weeks from now, we can do the vote. So the 28th. And then that vote will remain open for 7 days. So we will have basically the decision on if these bylaws are approved or not on February 4th. So, yay! So that was pretty straightforward. Didn't have any questions. Then after that is our open session. So if anyone has any other business that they wanted to bring to the board for us to cover, we could do that now. While I'm waiting to see if anyone brings anything up, I'll just go over the future projects. So I'm going to go with the bylaws will pass because I would like them to. And then if they do, once they do, we can start working on all the different policies that we would like to write down, implement, that sort of thing. Because basically the bylaws say we're going to review the coordinators once a year, but we still don't have a policy on how that happens. So we want to make a policy for how that happens. And then there's conflicts of interest, bans, whistleblowers. There's all sorts of policies that we would like to actually put in writing so that we know we have a standard way of doing things for each situation that comes up. Doesn't look like anyone has any questions. So, thought this was going to take a lot longer. We want to go ahead and call it.
Fine by me.
All right, all in favor? Beautiful. All right, we'll end the meeting at 7:16 p.m. Thanks so much, everybody.